This week on the Push Pull Legs podcast, we talk about how long or short should your check-ins be, and how to actually properly program intensity into your workouts. It's coming home, Dan.
Hey guys, welcome to the Push Pull Legs podcast. Myself, Damik.
And me, Tom Hall. What's going on, buddy?
There's no countdown there. It really threw me, so I just went straight into it. But
did I not say 3, 2, 1?
No, you just went straight in with this. I was slightly confused by that.
Everybody else on the recording said it'd be weird as well, because that's normally my key to stop. That is
normally the thing, mate.
It's normally when I do the edit. I know it's a very very long editing system, but when the phase out for the music is done on when I say 3. And then it starts fading out.
Oh, you're going to struggle
3,
then,
2, 1. Fuck it. Sorry, guys. You're just going to get really... shit. We're straight in with a really absolute awful content, which is interesting. Yeah. I feel like I've used It's Coming Home before on an intro.
Because it's not coming home, is it, either? So it's a waste of time you're saying that, mate.
We're obviously, by the time...
Until they drop Harry Kane, it's fucking pointless.
Drop kick him. Yeah, correct. I think we should.
Fucking useless, that boy.
He is useless.
He's gone. He's gone, isn't he? He's gone, though. He's just gone. He's not what he used to be. And I hate this whole but he scored 2 goals. Yeah, but any striker would have scored those 2 goals. Any of them. There's nothing worldly about him that made that happen. He was just in the right place at the right time. Oh, that's what he's good at. That's what he's good at. Yeah, but Ivan Toney would have been there. Ollie Watkins would have been there. Nice. Yeah, easy.
I just don't think it doesn't work for that system at all. There's no it just he just drops into the 10 and we're like, hang on a minute, we've got Bellingham, Foden, better 10s than you. Get up the pitch, you prick.
And he's just slow. He's slow. He's not even strong. Doesn't want to put it about. It's not even like he's worth having on the pitch. I'm trying to think of a good old fashioned. Dion Dublin, he wouldn't have been bagging you loads of goals, but he'd have put himself about. He made himself a nuisance. He'd have thrown a few elbows in there. Can't even do that.
If we had somebody like Mitrovic up there, he'd be absolutely sorted. Could you imagine?
Yeah, but I think the thing that frustrates me is I think in Toney and Watkins, you've got 2 different options that would do the same thing. Either Toney would again be annoying and rough him up a little bit, or you'd have Watkins who's running behind and create loads of space. You've got 2 good options there. Nah, just go Harry Kane. Goes into midfield, brilliant. That's what we need.
Anyway, we'll find out. Unfortunately, we don't have a show maybe for 1 or 2 weeks. We'll see. You might get a guest on to replace Dan, because Dan doesn't know how to work it. But it might be all right. Because I am away. When you're listening to this, I will be on a flight. Magic of podcasting.
Fly out there.
Yeah, finally, but I still have to do some work. Because might do the top of the show. Your combine waitlist time is almost ending today. I think today, it literally ends today. So if you're not in today, it gets more expensive essentially. If you get on my list, because I'm not going to take it down, but you will get a different email than the people that have already got it, and it will be a little bit more expensive. So you got today to fucking get on and join the rest of the crew that are on there. What we got?
Either way, it'd still be worth it, I'd say, even at the higher price, Tom. Wouldn't you say?
Mate, yeah, I got an email back from somebody, D, I think it is. I saw, and she was like, I don't normally respond to these confirmation emails, but fuck me, that's cheap. I was like, I expected it to be way more. And I was like, yeah, boom. I am more valuable than adding value, and then I'm taking over the world. So, but guess what? Get on now, because it's going to get expensive, a little bit more expensive. Basically, the price is going to go up every single time I run this. But yeah,
why not?
Why not? Get on it now. It's wonderful. And that means you'll get an automatic invite for a live day.
Actually, don't bother getting then, because no one wants that.
I think it's
trust me, guys. There's a reason I moved to Dubai. There's a reason
8 to 10 weeks from now, there will be a performance-based Hyrox. Basically, it's gonna be fucking shit hot. I don't know whether, Dan, should I either buy a jump mat, or 2, should I borrow force decks for the event? Pretty cool, guys. I know.
I would borrow
force decks.
Yeah, because then you know how it works, whether it works well or not for your day. And if you're going to do another day, if you buy it and you don't really use it again, it'd be like, that's a bit annoying.
Because the jump mat's better to move around and easier to use and simpler data, but the force decks are quite cool. and you've used Force decks, right? Like the Vlad systems or not, stuff like that.
No,
Or would that
we
be
use
a
we used to
little
have
bit
like two like these. I can't remember what it's called now, but there was like two like gates that used to obviously create like a laser,
laser? Yeah, we
not an
moved
electron
on from
laser.
those. I think the gate, like
Yeah,
I did have a G flights, but I think it's so hard to fucking hit the laser. Sometimes you miss it.
yeah.
Like the mats have been pretty good. Those and like yeah, because obviously there's vertical jump testing and stuff like that. So
Mm.
that's what that be used in the day. But yeah, interesting. We have a venue. We're all good. We're cooking with gas, so that'll be fun. I think we're
There we
only limit
go.
to like 10, 12 people. So I just want to
Ooh.
see how it runs. Yeah, fun. So get on. That's the last call. Last fucking call. Because I don't need any more admin. Right, Daniel.
No, no one does.
We're going to talk about. I'm starting my clock. I got rid of that other clock that I used to use, by the way. So-
Oh, the one that you banged on about for fucking ages that was shit. Yeah.
I didn't
So,
bang on about it. I just saw it. I'm such an impulse
look,
buy.
Alex Hormozy, you were banging on about it. You were like, "Oh my God, this is such a good thing. Have you seen this?
Such a
Productivity."
stupid thing. Such a
Yeah.
stupid thing for productivity, honestly. Like you productivity gurus who want a little clock. I get fucked off with a clock that's like sitting next to it. Guess what? Like when I'm fit, I'll be like, yeah, okay, I've done like 5 check-ins. I'm gonna have a little break. All
My
right,
my
cool.
my view on this is if you need gadgets to be productive, you're not productive.
Yeah.
It's that straightforward. It makes no sense. It's the ones that get me, the ones that take the photos of it all the time. Or being just about to go into, just go and do it.
Don't
You're
take
not
take
productive. If you're taking a photo of it, you're not productive.
the
Just get on with it. It's like I do it on days when like I have full on check-in days and I don't post anything on my stories all day. I don't go, oh shit, I just go, oh fuck. I was too busy. I had all that work to do. I don't like do it during the day. Oh, I'm really, really busy and productive. Oh my God. Just like if you're that busy, you wouldn't be able to post about it.
I know, like I've had like 7 one-to-one clients today, and then spent the last like I've spent 3 hours finalizing the programming for next week for Combine. And yeah,
It's the ones that
first
get everything
story,
lined up for me. Like
first
again, if
story
this is
was for
you, like
you.
don't take it if don't take it personally if this is you, but it's the ones that get the whole like, the new tonic, and then they get the
Oh yeah,
thing,
it's
and then
all in
they
the
get like
picture.
and it's all in the picture. And I'm like, that took you a minute for a start. So I just do more work. And then they get all the picture in there, like, oh, focused. Yeah, of course you are. That
You
focused
would have,
photo of it. Yeah.
you could see
Love it.
what my unfortunately Dan's gonna hate this in terms of what my desk currently looks like. 2 pads. This is a check-in pad, and then I have a notes pad, and then on this
Mm.
side it's fucking mess
It's
currently.
the left side that will do me
Balls.
in. The right side I'm okay with. The left side would just make me go insane.
To be fair, the left side's doing me in currently because it's got a lot of
Yeah.
pens, and I
I'm
moved
I'm thinking of getting
because
a standing desk actually as well, by the way. You got just
don't
like a
do that.
monitor there. But I'm thinking of getting a standing one of the ones that
Uh,
moves up and down. So I can
so
make it a sitting
yeah,
one if I want,
I
but
can move mine up and down. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Most people don't have that. I have monitors stacked instead of side by side.
yeah,
Bit of difference.
same.
So I have to look up.
Yeah.
So it's for posture, not
I
for
prefer working
posturing,
on that one.
but
I
I
prefer working
prefer
on that one.
like looking upwards towards it
Always,
rather
yeah.
than down that way. And it's like boom, boom, boom instead
That's one
of
of my great if you want a productivity tip for you as an online coach, that is it. If you've got a laptop, don't buy an iMac. Just get a big ass monitor that you can plug in HDMI and then it does that job for you.
just slightly raise it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then you're able to go and work in a coffee shop if you really want to.
Well,
Don't,
exactly. Because you
yeah.
then have the same computer, and you can then, if you do it work in several locations, you can even have another monitor. So, like I said this to Mike the other day, he was like, "Oh, I need to get an iMac for back home." And I was like, "No, just get a laptop and then get a monitor at home, and then a monitor in Dubai." I was like, "You won't have to worry
Yeah.
about it. Like, do it that way." So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
that's the
you're gonna take your laptop, surely. Like
well, exactly. Yeah. He's like, "I hate looking using this little laptop," and I was like, "Get something to plug it into." Like, so yeah, I've always done that. Like, and also it means as well that if you pay for a pretty powerful, decent laptop, it's worth doing that because I know people have got laptops and a Mac, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't know how you do that." Like.
yeah, no,
Go between the two. It's like no, 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 no.
no, I
Just
can't do that.
spend the extra money on the laptop, making it loads better.
Yeah.
Get them on it. The laptop will last longer as well.
100%. I totally agree. Yeah, anyway, but we're going to talk about 2 things today, Daniel. I've
The
got two
election.
things.
Tom loves talking
No,
about the election.
we're not talking about the election. No.
Ah, a nightmare.
We're not going to see, obviously, I'm just a massive, no, we're not going to go into it. So, where,
I nearly got you there. I nearly got you. Oh, we want to talk about it. Oh, we don't want to talk about it. Oh, okay, he really wants to talk about it. You can
I've been
tell.
talking about it all week, and I'm just like, I just know it's polarizing, isn't it? It's just like,
It's
ah.
polarizing, mate. Well, for people that think it actually makes a difference, it's polarizing. For me, it's not. For me, it makes no fucking difference. So it's fine.
It's because Dan lives in a
Um,
country where it doesn't make a difference. So they have
I
elections.
I actually could have voted. It's mad. I could have actually voted.
Really?
Yeah,
What
all I had to do is
in
register.
England? In England,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how we're just taking anybody to go. Like, yeah, that's
But
we
part
wanted
of me
your
was
opinion
like,
then.
I can't. I could have registered. I could have done it, and I could have done it well within time. But I voted with my feet years ago. That's why I voted with my. I don't feel like I have a say.
Dan
It
voted to
doesn't
have no
doesn't.
say.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my point. Is like I voted to have no say. I don't think it's fair that I
Anyway,
have a
let's
say.
move on.
Come on, Tom. I just
I
want
actually
Tom to
don't
go right.
mind anybody. There you go. I don't mind that a Labour government's in. I'm happy about that choice. I'm not a Labour voter. I'm
Oh,
also not a
can't believe you
Conservative.
said that.
I'm not
Tom
Reform.
told me
I'm
before this
not
was
a
on that he
Green.
voted Reform. He told me he voted Reform
Uh,
before this was online.
Unfortunately,
So,
guys, if you really wanted to know, I voted Lib Dem. I'm
oh,
just shit.
boring.
Shit, I'm
So
so
boring.
boring.
Literally, like straight down the middle.
I'm literally,
Literally
I like bits of both, and
boring.
unfortunately, use my brain to decide which one I like. Yeah.
I
So.
think he's trying to say that if you didn't vote Lib Dem, you didn't. You don't have a brain. I think that's what he's
No,
trying to
I
say,
think
guys.
you can be centre right, centre left. You can be wherever you like. That just
Well,
aligned with.
I'd have voted for Nigel Farage, so that's the one I'd have voted for because I really like him. I think
Unfortunately,
he's really
yeah,
smart.
I'm from Essex, so many of the
Yeah,
people I know
he's
do.
pretty close to like your constituency, isn't he, or whatever? But I'm actually looking forward to seeing him actually standing up in that
He's
parliament
got to
and
be
giving
in
people shit.
Clacton, and like he's got to be in Clacton for the next 4 years as well. Going back there, that's unfortunate. Sorry, guys, if there's anybody who lives in Clacton,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, they
For
know. They know.
one,
They know.
that being
Yeah, they
offended,
know.
or number two, that you live in Clacton.
Living
Uh,
Clacton. Yeah, they know. They
and
know.
now number three, you've got Nigel Farage who gets to be there. Didn't he do an interview and was like, "Oh, do you want to be an MP?" And he was like, "Not if it means coming back to Clacton every like week for the next 4 years." He
Brilliant.
literally
Love
said
it.
that. And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, we voted you in."
Classic.
Yeah, well, where my parents live, 25% of the vote was reform.
There you
Mm,
go.
there
There
you
you
go.
go. Anyway, we're not talking about politics, so it's all
No, we're
good.
not. No,
It's
we're
all
not.
good,
So
son.
we're going to talk about just something that winds me up. Apparently, was would say types of check-ins. Cool, and also
Check-in.
check-ins for online coaches, and also I think we can maybe do a quick chat. We can talk about this because obviously I've been writing the scripts. Shock, I write scripts for my next 4 lectures, webinars. What do you call them when you do like a talk for the group? Is
Webinar
it web?
call.
But
Yeah.
nobody's on it. It's pre-recorded.
Oh, right. That would be a webinar. Yeah.
It's a webinar, right? Okay,
I
webinar.
think so. Yeah.
So my
It's
webinar
technically
for
a
the
podcast, but whatever.
is it a podcast? But it's a visual medium. I've got like
Yeah.
slides and stuff,
No idea,
and I
mate.
show stuff on it. Anyway, in the combine, I educate you like a fucking god. Basically, if you're stuck and you're like a trainer that's really fucking boring, and you're like, oh, 3 sets of 12, that's what's it's pretty much for you, and I'm gonna make you a better coach.
Sets to our back squats.
That's
it.
That's it.
All you do.
You're done? All right. Oh, okay. That was a quick session.
Mm.
Good job.
That's
Yeah.
all you do.
But basically I'm teaching everything. But within one of the lectures in phase 3 is I literally have just gone off a fucking lecture now. Please hold. Boom,
Please hold.
boom, 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 boom. There we go, I found it. What to
There we
use in RPE, percentage-based systems, R&R, and VBT. I know, very
These
exciting
just all
lecture,
random
but
words you've been
I
talking
know.
to.
Well, we can test Dan whether he knows the acronyms more than anything else. So that'd be
Maybe not.
interesting. Should we talk about check-ins first because that's probably relevant to most people, and then anybody who's
Check-ins.
nerds, you can stick around for 15 minutes later, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about those systems of how people gauge intensity during their workouts, and how you can be a
Okay.
god. I know, right?
Let's talk about
Basically,
check-ins then, Tom. Go on, mate. Mr. Brand new online coach.
brand new.
Hey, yeah. Oh, not brand new, but you know what I mean.
Wasn't brand new a band? They were a band, weren't they?
No idea. I don't listen to music. You know this about me. I'm not big
They
on
were a
music.
bit they were a bit emo, but I believe the lead singer got done for texting kids. Anyway,
That's
so
always just a good start, isn't it? Yeah. Always a good
so brand
start.
new online coach. I've been coaching for I don't know 2 years ish,
Mm.
properly. Properly, I'd say properly. I'd say the 7 before
Yeah.
that, I was only doing one-to-one coaching and
Yeah.
educating you
Yeah.
for
That
fucks.
doesn't count. Doesn't count these days, mate. It's only online coaching that really counts. In person's shit. In person doesn't count. It's crap.
So yeah,
Fucking
11
snoring
years.
now. Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for it to go full circle and all these business mentors to start to help people get clients in person. I'm waiting for it. It's gonna happen.
It will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically check-in systems. I, I've, should we? I'm going to say it, but in terms of long check-ins versus short check-ins versus the traffic light system versus fucking just writing an email check-in, or there's lots of kind of different ways. Just having calls as check-ins. I think it all is perspective of your system, but I think there are definitely better things and worse things for you to do, but maybe also a sliding scale of like the old dimmer switch theory of like how much you need to use one to the other depending on
Yeah.
and whether it's like a turn off basically for your clientele as
Oh,
well. Ooh,
ooh.
no, Dan is
Yeah.
24/7 turned off. Oh.
Yeah. I don't even know where the switch is, mate. Yeah, I think with it, like it's something that we talk to our clients about all the time. And it's something that is very specific. And I think there's two things you need to think about here. Number one is what's good for the client, and then number two, what's good for you. And I think that when you're starting out or when you're trying to get clients, you have to care more about what's good for them than what's good for you. Once you've got a business you're happy with and you're in a position where you're comfortable, you like it, you've got good retention, you know what you're doing, I think you can then revert to more of a system that benefits you as long as it's not to the detriment of a client, if that makes any sense. So for example, I myself recently have just changed my check-in system. Um, and I think it's both benefited me and my clients, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's hindered either of them. And I think that what a lot of online coaches get told by other business mentors and that sort of stuff is to just send them a type form check-in questionnaire, and that's enough. And it's just
Put that in
like,
perspective
okay,
though, guys. Like Dan's been online coaching for fucking 11, 12 years and he's changed his check-in system over the last month. He literally talked to me
yeah,
about it, how he was changing it. Like
yeah,
you can change it and you can decide what is right and what you want to do going forward. And your clients will, as long as you're as clear as possible and with instructions of how it's going to benefit them, you can change it. Like do it. It's
yeah.
absolutely fine.
I've had quite a few systems. I remember when I first did it and when I was getting quite full. I used to do calls every week. I used to have a calendar and I used to get my clients, fat loss clients, booking for a call, 20-minute call every single week. And I was like, oh, I'm providing loads of value. It's really, really good. And I was actually full and growing and doing well. And they were staying for a while. And I got some advice on business mentor. And it was like, you can't scale that. Like, you need to do videos. Like, it's stupid. And I was like, well, I was like, yeah, it's getting a bit unsustainable. Like, I've got a lot of calls and a lot of people booked in. But I also felt at the time, I was like, actually, they're getting a lot of good value here. None of them miss their calls. They don't really don't turn up to them. Do you know, like if you're getting all those signs of like people not booking in and not interested, like you're doing something wrong. But I was like, no, they're always booking
Yeah.
in. Like people don't really like not book in. But to scale it, it had to go to video and all this sort of stuff. And now I look back and I get it and it makes sense. But I've actually gone full circle. I now just do calls exclusively. I don't do videos. Partly because I don't like them. I was getting clients sending me 15-minute long videos, and I was like, I'm not watching it. I was like, I used to get distracted, used to get pulled around from pillar to post with it. And I used to find myself switching off from it. Not because what they're saying was boring, or it's just the process of sitting and looking at a screen 15 minutes and having to listen and take notes and stuff. For me, I'd had 6, 7 years of it. And I was like, I'd rather just do a call here because with coaches, they were much more likely to do a call because it's part of their job, right? So they're going to do that. They're going to be someone who actually wants to speak to me versus just get a video.
Yeah.
When I was scaling the fat loss stuff, it was more a case of like, they're probably going to want a video, they can watch it in their own time and all this sort of thing, right? Which is all in good. And me and Mike are big on do not just send them a form to fill out saying, how's your nutrition been? How's your training been? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Do you need me for anything this week? And do you need me to get back to you? Obviously, they fucking do. Even if they say no, there's obviously something. That is ridiculous. You should always be doing a video check-in, a voice note check-in, some sort of personalized check-in, both from them and from you, back and forth. That's what
Yeah.
we believe is the kind of the gold standard, with check-ins. And if you do that every week, every 2 weeks, I think that comes down to your client type, like how much they're paying, how busy you are, all those things as well. I don't think that you need to stress too much about that. I know people have done that very, very well. They do every fortnight they do a video, and then in between that they do a little voice note. Again, as long as it's clear, that's all well and good. I just think that sometimes there's a bit of I don't like it when people share their Google form check-in on Instagram. I'm just like, it looks a bit amateur. But then on the flip side, like we just talked about, I also don't like it when people gloat about how they've just sent their client a 30-minute update video.
Yeah.
I've just told you I don't like watching a 15-minute one for my clients. I just like, oh, like, really? Like, but with what we do, I kind of get it because it's business. I kind of get it, right? With that, there's a lot more to say, a lot more to go over. Um, but for me, the reason I changed it was because for me, a 15-minute Loom video, watching it and then sending one back, which was probably about the similar time frame, I'd rather just get on a 30-minute call. For me, I was just like, I'd rather, and I think they rather as well. And I just think coaches need to be wary of their check-ins and how they're doing them and ask themselves the question, is it really a selling point? Like, is what you're sharing really something that's going to entice people in? And think
Yeah.
about it.
I think because obviously the perception is time is valuable, which obviously is a valuable asset, but expertise is even more valuable. And very much like I preach a lot in coaching about minimal effective dosage. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to get you the maximal kind of stuff for the minimal amount of work. So that doesn't mean I'm going to send you a fucking 15-minute video if that's going to be like confuse you or hard to do. And then
Yeah.
if Dan was my client, I send you a 15-minute video and you're probably having to rewatch some of that. Like that's half an hour out of your day for these supposed busy professionals that we work with. Awesome. Okay, cool. That's probably not fantastic. Especially if my coach sent me that, I'd be like, get fucked. I'm not watching that. Are you joking?
Yeah.
Like, especially,
Well,
and I would,
we've all, and as well, it's also the medium that you do it because we've all done it where we've received like a 6-minute voice note and just gone,
yeah, really,
6-minute
yeah,
video, sound. All right, better. 6-minute voice note, like what is that about? Do you know? And like, I think each medium has its own bandwidth for
correct,
that, if
yeah.
that makes sense. Like
I
again, a
totally
call,
agree.
notice I didn't do an hour call on Zoom. That's too long. There's
Yeah,
not enough we need to get. 30 minutes is perfect for what we need to do and all that sort of stuff.
yeah,
Um, and it's just remembering that it's a bell curve, right? It's like, yes, we're saying, I don't want you to just send a form and just send a text saying, good job, keep it up. But
yeah.
likewise, I don't want you to send a 45-minute EastEnders episode, extended version, Christmas special, when you could have just sent a 5-minute video and said the same thing. It's just remembering that yes, the personalized touch is a selling point. Yes, getting a video from
100%.
you is a selling point, but make it fucking efficient.
Yeah.
And it should be efficient. It shouldn't be like I say, a fucking mod. Like if I can watch a TV episode in the same time I could watch your video, there's something wrong. In my opinion, there's something wrong. Other
There's,
than, and I'll
yeah,
caveat this because I know that you do this, and I'll caveat that with your starting video. If you're setting someone up, I agree that there's a lot more to go over, and they're probably more excited to
yeah.
get a 20-minute video, 25-minute video, setting up their plan because I'm at that point where I peak excitement. I will watch a longer video, and I do want to sit there and get the
100%, yeah.
information from you. 100%.
So yeah, normally what happens, so in my system, right? So the first two, like, because obviously I have a call before they set up, and they're probably like, and then I would like probably either send them a voice note about what I'm thinking about doing with them, blah 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 blah, and post so during, and then if there's a bunch of videos that are already obviously pre-recorded during my onboarding system, so I don't have to personally walk them through my onboarding system. I don't have to do a personalized video for that because there is all those videos for them to watch. And then on the back end of their onboarding, they would have filmed a bunch of exercises. So within the first 2 weeks, they essentially get two almost. It's like give or take 15, 20-minute videos based off some mechanical analysis and
Yeah.
what they're about to go and do for me for the next like probably 4 to 6 weeks. Because that's, again, one, peak interest, they're going to fucking watch it. Two, it's the first time I'm seeing them move. I'm going to catch out a lot of shit and fix it really quickly and set them on the right path. And I always apologize, basically. I probably should stop. I'm just like, but I always warn them. I'm like, FYI, first two, they'll be longer than anybody else's. After that, we're plain sailing because I'm going to know you better. We're going to have, basically, we've had at least an hour of go back and forth. You know what I'm looking for, all this kind of stuff. And I will promise with usually most things are less than 10 minutes. I'm not going to be sending you anything that, but obviously I want you to send me videos of like, but guess what? People don't send endless videos of their like form checks. It's like 1, 2, or 3 like exercise videos a week is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I can quickly look at that for a minute and then assess everything else. So I would say that is probably better. But I'd say 30% of my clients don't send me videos and we just do voice notes. And that's absolutely fine. Because that's the level they're at. They don't need me to do it. And if it's a form check, then I send them a form check. It's absolutely fine via Loom. But it's super rare that only on startup will the anything be above 10 minutes. I just don't.
Yeah,
And
I think,
and
look,
again,
and
it'll be
some
on Loom, so
check-ins.
they can watch it on 1.2.
Yeah,
So
and also the way Loom works now, the AI, is it almost breaks it down into sections for you, so you can kind of
yeah,
see where things are. But it's just look, every check-in is different. Some check-ins you do need to send a 15-minute one during, even if you know someone 6 months, because you need to give a rock up the arse, you need to kind of
yeah.
whatever. It's more just a generality where I just think that it's just making it obvious to people what they're going to get when they sign up with you, and it's people want quick, efficient. They don't want like in much in the same way. I wouldn't just want a text from you saying, "Yeah, well done, keep going." I also don't want for you to waste my time. Again, we talked about this before. How many coaches work with busy professionals? All right, let's not fucking send them an EastEnders episode as a fucking check-in then, right? And I think it's maybe gone too far the other way where me and I'm not saying that me and Mike have like fucking changed the fucking way people check in, but like where we've been so heavily against the whole like type form, green light, red light, traffic light system where they don't even fucking check in if they don't need it or whatever, which is stupid as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean do the exact opposite and do the whole war and peace on video. There's definitely, I would say the majority, if I looked at when I was doing fat loss coaching, the majority of my check-ins, I would hazard a guess that my average was between the 5 to 7 minute mark.
I would
I would say the average.
concur.
Some of them
Mine is
longer.
normally around
And I
that.
used to send people sometimes 2 minute updates because I'd be like, look, mate, everything's going fucking great. Like, you're doing this really well. You're doing that really well. You sent me the video last week of your squat. It looked great. Like, we're now pushing for PBs in the next week of the training cycle, training block. All I want you to do is make sure you get those carbs in, rest up, get to bed early, get plenty of water in, and make your golden because the next phase after this is we're going to do this, this, and this. That's all they need to hear. They don't need me to go in any more depth for that. They just need to go, right, fucking pump for that now. Not going to waste 20 minutes of their life going through every single one of their exercises that lift every single weight. And I think sometimes I think that comes from experience. I think as well, as you do more, you get better at it. And again, knowing your
Yeah.
niche, right? If you do work with people who are maybe coaches and they're asking you more questions and more in-depth stuff, you maybe do need a longer update and a longer check-in, all that sort of thing. It is very important that you know your niche and who you work with as well. I think that's a key thing. So, for example, for you, Tom, some of your clients, would maybe prefer a slightly longer check-in with slightly more biomechanical analysis, whereas some of your other clients who aren't coaches would not want
Yeah,
that in any way, shape, or form.
it's
So it's
like
just
pretty
remembering that
much
as well.
down the middle in terms of like new coaches who have come to me to learn. Usually their stuff is like, oh, can you talk me through this exercise more than anything else? And like I'll just go on a little bit deep. And I've taken a few lads who just want to just get fit and play football or stuff like that. I'm lucky if I get a fucking voice note off them, if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
because
And
there's other niches as well that I know that people work with. If you work with, for example, if you work with women from say swimming world, I know that's a pretty broad niche nowadays because everyone fucking talks about them, right? Or even if you worked with guys, newbies in the gym who are nervous, bit of anxiety, not really confident, I would actually say that they need a shorter check-in, but they would need to be checked in with twice in the week as well via text. Hey, everything going okay? How are you doing? Save that
yeah,
time with that video check-in and just keep checking up on them every couple of days. They're going to need that. Again, think about coaching, think about what they're going through,
but
the
that's
struggles they
another thing
probably
as
won't reach
well,
out for.
realizing that like maybe the longer check-in is maybe you don't have I have client touch points throughout the week, right?
Mhm.
Where I'll just ping like all the online clients, just like boom, on like a Monday afternoon, ping them a little message and be like, what's going on? Good weekend, absolutely fine, still here. What's going on? Ready to smash the week, blah, blah, blah. Usually it's not as generic as that because I know who they fuck they are. But then that's obviously like 3 or 4 days removed from I do check-in days on Wednesdays and Thursdays for those guys checking in on Thursdays and Fridays, right? So it's a little bit far removed. So it's something I can fix something pretty quickly. But that's just broken up in my day of like a 1 to 2 hour block. And they know that that's when I'm going to respond. But it could be a system of like if you find yourself you're doing longer check-ins, put out the fire then.
Mm.
Like instead of it going all the way through the week, there's probably, if we really look at most people's retention, let's say, would that be a good retention tool to maybe add in like a touch point hour? Probably,
Yeah.
I'd say. Would that be worth if that client's going to stay for an extra 6 months just because you've given them 2 minutes of your time on a Monday? Probably. But I don't know. My retention tends to be okay, so probably a good thing. Um,
Yeah, and look, we're not going to get into the whole realms of like, it can also be person dependent on what they
yeah,
need and whatever. And I just think that as you get better and as you get more, as you define your niche more and as you get more comfortable as a coach, you'll have your system. And also, there's a bit of it where you may turn around and go, I'm not really as bothered if someone wants it that way or that way. This is the way I do it. And
yeah,
that I think when you get to a certain point, you also it's okay. It's okay for that to happen if that's the way you want it to be. Because I think you should have at that point shared enough of it on Instagram, enough of it on social media for people to know that's how it works. And if they sign up for it expecting something different, then like well, you're an idiot. Do you know, like with that. It's just remembering that like what part of it is the selling point. And it's not the amount of time you've done the video, it's the fact you've done a video. And I'd be more impressed if you were like, well, I've done this video and it's done in 5 minutes and you've got everything you needed into it, and I feel motivated and pumped up, then bored me to death every week. I think that's the thing. Weirdly enough, my clients do stick around on Zoom calls, so maybe boring them to death is a good idea because I know for a fact that I don't motivate them or entertain them anyway. Shape, or form. So
I know. Like,
maybe that's a tactic.
some of my mentor guys, and I'll be like, this is only meant to be half an hour. I can run and just chat about talk shop, like or whatever, for the next like 10 minutes. They're like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, believe it or not, I've got sessions and stuff to do or work.
Yeah,
It's like you don't want to you book in, you only book out like half an hour of my time.
yeah.
I know he's not to listen. Tony, this is for you. Yeah, fucking he loves just to chat.
What's a
I think
chat?
it's oh, that's like, oh, have you got anybody afterwards? I'm not gonna answer that. I'm just gonna say yes always.
Yeah, always yes,
I'm
always.
just like, yeah, yeah, loads, loads. I thought you posted you to go for lunch after this. No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no, no,
definitely
no,
not.
no.
Busy.
Lunch,
But somebody's
lunch
just booked in.
meeting. It is lunch
Somebody just
meeting. It
booked
is.
in, but you have a 2 hour lay that you can't book in after that. No, it doesn't matter. No, got rid of that. Well, I can't see it. No, just for you. Yeah. Just you're on the list. So yeah, unfortunately. All right, Daniel. Should we talk about intensity systems? Intensity systems, programming systems, how to program intensity.
There's only one to failure.
Brilliant, thanks. Just that help everybody,
That's the
isn't
only
it?
we need to know, innit? That's the only we need to know, innit? I think.
That's the one that Harry Kane's did. That's why he's so tired.
Mate, he's failed already. That's Harry Kane footing. Jesus Christ.
Right, so
Um,
there are four systems. So currently there is a group that are currently going at the moment in the combine refresh that obviously started this year. So there's one group moving into phase three.
refresh.
If you join fucking today, you'll be in phase one. Exciting. But yeah, they're moving into phase three, and you've got to that to look after to, look forward to in 2 to 3 months, 10 weeks essentially. Rate of perceived exertion. That's RPE, Dan. You know that one. What's that one?
Yeah, that's where you go. Always really high, so then you don't get given more to do. That's what you do. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Is that still on a scale of 6 to 20?
isn't that a Borg scale?
I'm pretty sure the RPE scale originally
It
was.
was, yeah. I thought it was a Borg scale though. Yeah, the Borg up. Is that called a
I'm
Borg
sure because it
scale?
started on 6, and I was like, yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
I
It's the
always like, what the fuck is this? Borg's
Yeah, it's the
Borg
Borg
scale
scale. You're
is
right. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because like
Yeah.
11 was like light. 11? What?
Well, yeah,
Like,
why
the thing is, you'd be there knackered going, pass me that scale. I need to look at one number.
yeah,
You wouldn't know the numbers, would you?
11.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
11? Like
yeah,
I never
15.
understood it. Yeah, it's gone from 6 to 20. But and then there's
Yeah.
a modified Borg scale, which is from 0 to 10. Oh, that makes
About
more
to say,
sense.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
I'll use that one, shall I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't realize
I
that'd
love
be
it
the
how the thing that makes it fucking mad for me is that 4 is sort of hard. 4 out of 10, sort of
four.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5,
Weird, right?
hard. 7, really hard. 9, really, really hard. 10, maximal, just like my hardest race. Okay, I get that. I just don't understand that's sort of hard at 4. Between 4 and 10 is the fucking thing.
I just don't
Anyway,
understand the confusion of this Borg scale. Of why did you start at 6? What happened? What start? Who starts at 6?
who thought that was a good idea?
You know what? We have 14 numbers. Start from 1 to 14 then. No, 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 no,
No, don't be daft. Why would you
no.
do that? But the last
Hold
number's got
on
to be
there, my
20.
friend.
Okay, so the last number's going to be 20, so we'll do the first one at 1. No,
But
no,
Mr.
no, no, no,
Borg,
no.
most people start at 0. No, no, my son.
Come on.
In this household, we start at 6. Just like
Oh,
children 1 to 5 over there.
that's
No, they
true.
don't exist until they're into 6. Then I can talk to them. Just like, please, daddy. No. Fucking hell. Anyway, that scale is bullshit. Stop using that one. Percentage based system.
I mean, that's self-explanatory, isn't
Fairly self-explanatory. But we're talking
it?
about
That you start at 60% and goes to 200%, yeah?
Yeah, it's only 60 to 60. That's all we can do. Nothing else is there. How else? What would you else do? But that obviously that equates to you should have at least a projected 1 RM. So we can obviously talk about that in the pluses and minuses of all of them. But we'll go into that one a little bit. R&R,
R&R.
RIR,
Oh,
R&R,
I was about to say rest and recovery. I was like, rest and recovery. I was like, what's that all about? Reps and reserve. Yeah.
reps and
I mean,
reserve.
I don't
I
like that one
fucking hate
at
that
all.
one. It is the
I just don't
bodybuilding
think
community
it's
that brought that to the fucking realm.
it's the least out of all of them, it's the least universal, like in terms of like what it means. Like it's just with the RP scale, everyone knows what 100% is, everyone knows what 50% is, everyone knows what those things are. With RIR, I just people are so fucking bad at understanding what that means.
Yeah. And then we have the last one
Which is
that I'm making popular is VBT. Obviously, but people don't really. Velocity-based training
oh yeah,
is
that's yours. That's your little
not
fucking jam, isn't
mine.
it? Yeah, you fucking
It's
love
it,
it.
it's just better than anybody else's. It's more personal and it's more about on the day. You can see the one I like better, but it's also it needs a lot of work, basically. I'm not shy about that. And
It's
also,
not actually that much of an older system, you know. Sorry, it's not much of a new system.
no,
We
no,
did it a little. We did some stuff with a whole city when we were there. That we used to. One of the SC coaches came in and he used to get people to jump before each training session,
yeah,
and then he'd be
100%.
like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and then we never did anything with the data. Never. He never pulled anyone from training. Like he never said to anyone, "Oh yeah, you can't train." Never did that ever.
Well,
So the
it's
players
not
used to be like,
it's,
"What the fuck are we doing this for?" Like,
well, it should be he should have their max because the basically what Dan's describing is there. So we would use a vertical jump test, and basically I can't remember the scaling. It's something between like 3 meters to 4 meters per second is okay or something like that, and anywhere below that is shit and blah blah blah. There's a scaling, but essentially it's personal to you, right? So Dan walked in,
yeah,
I do a vertical jump test with him with no weight, whatever. He's just going to jump, and we're going to measure the speed of how he launches himself. So if he ended up, he wouldn't 100%, but if he jumped at 4 meters per second, like to whatever his vertical jump is, awesome, cool, well done, Dan, awesome. That's like in your 1 RM. Okay, so if he comes in the next day,
it definitely would
been
be 10
out.
meters a second, by the way. But whatever, that's fine. I'm definitely.
All right. If he comes in the next day and he's been on the lash, or I don't know what you've been playing fucking
Too many
Zelda
Diet
all night,
Pepsis. Yeah.
definitely. And he comes in, he's had a bad sleep, whatever, and he ends up jumping at 3 meters per second, not as high. Then we know he's fatigued. He's in a fatigue state. We know we're not going to get best out of Dan today. So probably that is a 25% decrease of power output that he's managed to, and we're going to get basically 25% less from him today. Okay. Which is what he has to say to Mike most of the time when he's working. But basically, when he brings in, so we're going to get 25% less of him, which means we should correlate what he's lifting in the gym to be 25% less. That's the kind of perceived, right, what VBT should be used for in a velocity. I've always think it should be velocity guided training. So if you're going to use it for that, I'm pretty on board. But that requires having like that kind of wearable data, but not everybody even has. I use it for more of a percentage-based scaling against VBT. Very convoluted, I know. But if you fucking join the combine, I talk about this for half hour, not in a Zoom call,
There you
or
go.
check it. Fucking hell, you can save it, like it, boom, in your back pocket. You can refer to it any fucking time.
Be a 30-minute
And
long check-in video. You can watch it
I
back whenever you
know,
want instead of
mate.
watching TV.
Mate, better fucking. I'm not gonna send you. I do send you one every week, but it's on a different theme, not just my training. Yeah. I'm just gonna do
VBT.
different. So I just do different topics for all of them. My clients must hate me as well because all my one-to-one clients get these lectures as well. They're like, "Fucking hell, Tom, I get enough of you." Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, yeah. Anyway, that's much think about you. So yeah, so let's do pros and cons of each one. So rate perceived exertion. So obviously, fucking weird that it's well, just do 1 to 10.
Let's give you 1 to 10. I think it's universal. People know what the numbers mean. Like they
Yeah.
know, people know. Like it's universal across the board. If you took an absolute beginner and absolute someone advanced, that they would all rate things the same based on those numbers.
Yeah. Obviously, cons is the fact that not many people, especially as a complete beginner, they don't really know what 10 is or
And
that kind
also
of
as
higher
well with that,
skills.
I think that people also know that if they say 10, you're not going to put the weight up or do anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I
Um,
can't be asked, so I'll just say 10. They know with that,
yeah. They'll be like, oh, are
one
you
of the
doing that?
cons.
But obviously, you got talk tests that you could do throughout that. And if they're talking to you, the chances are that's fucking easy. Um,
Yeah.
so they're probably only working at about 6 out of 10, maybe, if that, if they could talk to you throughout a exercise. Um, use that for heart rate training. But yeah, I wouldn't, I, I think it's a good guide, especially for like people that training online. I think it's a pretty decent guide. But if,
Mm.
especially if, as you say, is if they're first starting and they kind of can recognize the scale. So, and if you want to go look at the people who do this, is I can't pronounce his name, Mike
Never heard of him.
Tushera. You can Google this, Mike Tuchscherer, Mike Tuchscherer. Anyway, if you join the combine, you'll get the fucking my graph table, and that maps that to the percentage-based scale of where it should be, like RPE 10, RPE 9, RPE 8, RPE 7. So in theory, like an RPE 7, one rep will probably be about 85% of your 1RM. That's how it should map to, something like that. Give or take the rate, like how you should be exerted during that set, which is pretty cool. If you can kind of understand where percentage-based scales are, but obviously you need a projected 1RM. So, Dan, percentage-based scales, pros and cons.
Um, I guess there's not huge amounts of flexibility, I'm assuming, with that. Like, again, it's similar to the 1 to 10 scale. It's like, oh, yeah, kind of know what I'm doing. I think with again, I suppose if you're talking about from the point of view of people prescribing those numbers, like 75% of lifting, there's no flexibility on that day. Like you said, if you feel shit,
Yeah,
no, you're just lifting 75%. So it's like,
yeah,
okay, don't really feel like that today. You're just going to skip the session, probably. If you don't feel
yeah.
like doing it.
More than likely.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, there's no real I say adaptation. There's no real adapting the program. If you've got it written out for 6 weeks and it does the percentage based, it's like doesn't take into account whether you slept well the night before, how well you've done, all that sort of shit. And that's the inflexibility of it. Probably is the main problem.
yeah. I think it's good from a kind of data point of view. It's very
Yeah.
linear. It's very like you can see how things should progress, but life doesn't tend to work
Mm.
like that, and human bodies don't tend to work like that. And also for new coaches, when you're learning your percentage-based system, which is obviously hard, like people want you to use, do not put it as a scale of intensity for your fucking B2, C1, C2 based exercises that you're going
Mm.
down the thing. 70% of your 1RM lat pull down don't fucking exist. 65% of your 1RM fucking leg press that you've just got Sally, who just walked in off the street 3 weeks ago, she didn't fucking know what that is, right? She had no idea. That's why you need my converter scale, which you get in a resource in the combine. It's fucking insane. But then you
It's almost like
can
the combine's
convert.
worth getting, isn't it? Really,
I
it's almost
know
like
it's
it's
the
worth
amount of
joining.
resources I'm
Yeah,
fucking giving away.
yeah, it's fucking crazy. How much is it?
The,
How much is it?
about a couple of quid.
A couple of quid a
The
day.
current, if you're on the wait list, it's 65 quid a month. It's fucking insane. It's
65 quid a
insane.
month. Fucking
Correct.
hell.
I
To get
know.
access to those
Fuck
resources,
yeah.
mate. Jesus Christ. £2 a day.
I
Access
know,
to that. You
right?
could
It's
probably
less than
sell that for
nothing.
more than that. You could probably sell that for more than that,
I
that
can sell the
resource.
resources for more than that.
The
Yeah, it's
resource
pretty cool.
valued $97. $97 value, but for free. And you're doing it. It's unlimited value stack.
It's like,
Unlimited
well,
value
yeah,
stack,
go for
mate.
it. But yeah, you kind of map the percentage scale against RPE, right? So obviously 100% should be 10, in theory, shock. And then 95% will be 9, all that kind of stuff. If you're hitting it for 2, if you're hitting it for 1, and you can map it against that. But it's quite interesting for what you should be able to, you can kind of map what percentage you should be able to do for like a maximal like set as well, which is if anybody wants to go look at Cal Dietz or Dan Baker, Dan would have used Dan Baker's scale of perceived exertion and percentages. That would have been definitely that he is like the
Mm.
guy for it, basically. So go look at that. I would have a look at that basically, and you can get all the R and R's and perceived exertions in a different, like, really cool scale. But yeah, it's just got not much flexibility. I think people use it straight off the bat, and don't
Mm.
go. If you were writing it, my advice was for you would be like plus or minus 5 to 10% either side, to your client, and they will still get enough stimulus, but
Yeah.
you that's enough for you to say, all right, they're feeling fucking fresh. Like you can probably push higher than this. Don't be like, no, stick to the numbers. Nah, fuck it. It's a go day. They're fucking like full of beans. They had a great night's sleep. They've eaten
Mm.
well. They're all going, and they can lift more, and they know they can lift more for that day. That intensity that you prescribed. Cool, do it. As long as we know it's a heavy day. If it's not, and they're feeling like shit, then yeah, back off. Fucking hell.
I
See
think
what's
that's
in the
where as well
tank.
some of the pre-prescribed numbers on plans as well. I think they definitely benefit more advanced lifters
Yeah.
versus like if you wrote out an 8 week plan for someone who's somewhat of a newbie based off their one rep max in the first 2 weeks of them training with you, just the training effect, their one rep max in 5 weeks will be much higher.
Mm.
Like, is that thing as well? You wouldn't do it with newbies. Like, you just wouldn't do it. Like, it's just not something that you would go with. You would, like you just said then, you'd be like, right, last week you did these, last week you did this. Like you say, if you feel good, like, I'm just thinking back to when we did like the 2x4. It's like, I think you have to be at a pretty advanced level to kind of like stick to those numbers and
Yeah.
make it useful. I just think for a lot of people in the first year, 2 years of training, I wouldn't really say that it would be a system that I'd use. From that
Not
point of view as
really.
well.
So, which is interesting. So, the phase three, which I'm writing right now, I've mapped the 2x4 to velocity-based training
Mm,
to enable that kind of fluctuation throughout the week for people. So they're learning about that, and basically we're going to apply the speed sets because obviously the number two of that four thing was like speed, eccentric. Was it in? Oh, it's paused based, wasn't it? And then or
yeah.
perfect reps, at a very low load at like 60%, something like that, which is cool. But we've mapped it to VBT to allow that fluctuation to happen, which is cool.
Mm.
Which hopefully it does work. I've used it on quite a few people. So, and it's like, yeah, I think, where's the lad? Hamish. I posted about it last week, and he set PRs every week that week. Fucking works.
Take that.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely smashed it. And he was like, yeah, I've set PR every day. And I was like, are you feeling tired? He's like, no, weirdly. And I was like, fucking hell. Weird, but weird. I was like, you'll feel tired in about 2 weeks, mate.
About to say, give it
100%.
2 days.
I was like, I feel like still like a little bit of a lag. I was like, you're gonna be
Yeah.
fucked in a bit, so let's chill out. Yeah. So R&R,
I
pros,
wouldn't even bother
cons.
fucking using it. Wouldn't even bother fucking using it. Like people just don't know where failure is enough. Like I get it. I get the concept of it. It's about leaving reps in reserve, reps in the tank, and it's a way of I guess moderating intensity to a certain degree. But I just think
I I
no one knows failure well enough.
I feel like it's for 100% those kind of like psychopaths like using it because they're like, all right, I know but only to like 0 or 1 R&R. I feel
Mm.
like if you write 4 R&R, what the fuck is that? No one knows
Yeah.
if you've got 4 left or something like that. I just no,
No.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
You might as well write an RPE, as far as I'm concerned.
I think the only one you can do realistically is one.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like, because
I
I'm
think
like,
even
all right,
two, it's like, well, I don't
yeah,
really
oh,
know
I've got a
until I've done the
number.
second one.
Cool.
Like,
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not because even like me and you, for example, can train hard if we're all with together or like we're training each other or if like we're with people. If I train by myself and I've got 1 R&R, like fuck, I'm doing that. Like I'm
Yeah,
never
it's
gonna get to
different. That's
that.
different to one RIR with us training together,
Yeah, with
100%.
people that because
Yeah.
that was what the literature said, right? It was like when we tested them and then we retested them, it was like they had 8 reps in reserve. And it was like, all right, they could do 8 reps more than what they perceived was 1 or like their max test or
It's so far away
some
now.
sort of
It's
it's
so
so
far
far
away.
away. That's the thing, that's the flawed system of that. And I just wouldn't really use it. I don't know who popularized it. Was it Mike Israetel?
I think so, yeah.
But that's obviously he's an elite bodybuilder, like and knows his fucking shit. And it probably only really works with those people who are psychopaths.
The whole point of the whole thing though is that they basically said as a bodybuilder you don't need to train to failure to kind of build muscle. And you kind of look at it and
Yeah,
go, well, yeah, we've known that though for ages. Just that most bodybuilders talk about training to
like
failure. So they created a
yeah,
system that was like, okay, be 2 reps away from failure. Rather than say do 90% of your work in set, like other people did in powerlifting, they just took it the other way and went, just take 2 reps
yeah.
off to failure. And it's because in bodybuilding, there's a whole thing, you have to train to failure. Well, you don't. But all the big guys did. So then they created some big guys who didn't train to failure. And went, oh, look, see, you don't have to. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. But people in powerlifting and stuff had always been doing like, yeah, lead 2 reps in a tank because they called it 90% of their rep max. They were like, yeah, do it for 2 reps, 90%. Well, you're obviously leaving something in the tank at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another way of creating another new system you could sell something about. Really, it's just selling your program with it. So essentially, it's don't fucking beat yourself up every single session. Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant. Thanks for that. I realized that. So that's what it is, really, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Right, last one is VBT.
Load of shit. Would never use it in a million years. Fucking point.
So pros on this is it is flexible based off like what you're doing from. I will go into the cons by the way because there are quite a few. The pros on this is like yeah, it does change based off day to day. It's going to take your daily whatever you've got into account.
The one thing I do really like about it is it's one of the only ones that takes away how you're feeling.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not, like all the others, it's like, oh, I don't really feel it today. I'll just say I'm feeling it. You can't really hide for it. It's just jump as high as you can. Well, the ones we do with players, jump as high as you can, do this as quick as you can. And it's like, okay, I'm looking at the data.
Yeah.
People don't really know necessarily they've been tested with it. They don't really know they've been tested. That was the great thing about the footballers. They're so competitive. They want to jump as high as they can. They didn't know they were being
100%.
tested.
We've talked about it with a lad I've had on the podcast previously. It was like gamification of training. Like even Mike Boyle started putting it in his people because he trains a lot of high school athletes, right? And he's like, it's great.
Yeah.
Like they want to beat each other now, so they're training harder and they're trying to do this. And even though they didn't think they had this much left, but now they're actually pushing because they're like, shit, I'm gonna get above like Sally. Like always trying to get above Sally, weren't you, Dan?
Always.
Yeah, that's the case. Always. So that's gamification of training. It's pretty cool. Also, yeah, if you're feeling shit, it kind of like maps it out to you, and you're like, actually, you can't lift that today. You're lifting to a speed, not a weight. So it's like, all right, if Dan could today lift 150 kilos at 0.5 meters per second, tomorrow, if he tries it, he might lift it at 0.4. That's too heavy. It's not what I've asked him to do. That would be so we have like a little scale that we have on a few of the lectures for this to map where you're meant to be training. So whether it be like absolute strength, accelerative strength, power, speed, or whatever. So if you were doing those, you would move between different training stimuluses. If you're like going from 0.6 or 0.4. So we'll be training different like qualities essentially. It's easier to map that out to people what you can feel like as well. So you can kind of go up and down the scale for performance a little bit easier. The cons. Speed equates to different lifts. So there is not a global speed in terms of this scale. I put this together just because it seemed like the most simple thing, but it tends to relate to more deadlifts and squats. And even with that, there are different scales to what people can kind of do because not every lift is made equal, right? If you're doing a concentric against an eccentric lift, or like distance to travel, that kind of stuff, it's a little bit different. You will move a bench press slower than you can squat. Just at that kind of figure because there's a short of lever, there's not so much muscle mass, all that kind of stuff, and explosive power. There's no there's lots of different things. I think the VBT, the metric guys explain it really well. They've got like I'd encourage everybody who wants to learn about it. They have a Thingbody group. What's that app? Nerds use it. Discord. They have a Discord group that I'm in. Pretty fucking nerdy, but they talk about it in there a little bit, and it's like, okay, he's got a good YouTube thing. So the Metric VBT guy, I think he's called Metric VBT Coach. He made the app that I use. So yeah, that's interesting. You have to be a little bit nerdy, if I'm honest, to understand some of it. And I would 100% work with a coach to understand it. But I try to use it in a really simple way. I only map like 2 or 3 things. I only use it for deadlifts or deadlift jumps, and I only use it for squats. I don't use it for anything else because I think it gets too clunky.
I was just about to say that. I think that is what, yeah. I was just saying then, I think I wouldn't use it for bench press.
No,
I think
I don't.
The whole point of velocity based guided training is going to be, well, you're going to want it for those movements to where you're going to be moving quickly and strengthen more athletic movements, which are going to be more leg based, but powers generated from the floor.
Correct,
you're going to just, again, I was just thinking that, I was like, you wouldn't even do like
cleans I'd use it for. So stuff like that.
But I think if you were just having a baseline thing, you would just go, well, for most PT clients, it'd be squats and deadlifts. It would just be easier. And even then, you could even just do it one. You could just do squats if you really wanted to, because it's easier to set up. You know where you're going with it, all that sort of jazz, right? I think it's just as long as you're informed as to why you're doing certain things, that's the real thing with it, right? Is that you say to people, if you do VBT, don't fucking apply it to every single fucking lift.
Yeah,
just know the benefits of what lifts are more repeatable and are going to be beneficial to do it with. You're still going to get the same probably going to get the same sort of results from doing squats and deads as you would from a bench if you're fatigued or you're feeling shit or whatever. You're going to notice it from that just as
Yeah.
much as, you know. I was thinking that when you were saying it, it was like, people will run with this. I can see that there's geeks out there that will just fucking do it with everything. You're like, no,
Yeah, and you're like,
you've
right,
gone too far.
3 hours later, and you're like, fucking hell,
Yeah.
you moron.
Yeah, can we train yet?
And much like which also is good for, so one of the pros, it kind of teaches you like, because we've applied it, you can apply it to the full spectrum of like strength and power and stuff, but also apply it to hypertrophy, because you should expect there's an expectation of your reps to get slower, right? So if you were doing R&R to 1, I would expect your last 1-2 reps to be fucking slow as shit, that you're grinding those out. If you're mapping that to speed, we know it's going to be slow. We know how much drop off you can maintain. And based off the drop off that you get during a set, we kind of can know how much it's going to fatigue you in the next week as well. So if you do a set or a lift, which you end up having over 25% drop off from your fastest to your slowest rep, we know that's going to fucking screw you up CNS wise. That is hard. Okay. If kind of the happy medium point for a good set is 15 to 20%. And we're probably going to be able to repeat that set again in like 2 days, and you perform it again. So we know when we can fuck somebody up or not. And it also lies, basically, we can kind of see if they're lying to us, essentially, if we know there's more in the tank without them just going, yeah, that was hard. And we have to take their word for it. We can be like, no, actually, the data says you can push more. You just suck ass. But it does also, I've seen it from myself to maybe using it with a couple of clients who back off way earlier than what I would. I'm like, I'm going to go until I cannot lift that thing, or it's going to be as slow as anything. Whereas, unfortunately, like one of my clients, like Sam, the girl, I know she was going to back off way too soon. I'm going to be like, I think you've got more. She's like, no, I haven't. I'm like, the data says you have more, but the mind says her mind is like, I can't lift that anymore because it's going to go too slowly, which is interesting. But I think it's definitely something that I think if you're serious about programming, or work with maybe more performancey people, or I think people, maybe even the Hyrox kind of states. I've applied a 2x4 to Hyrox with VBT as well. It's a very kind of mixture of stuff, but I think it's good for their strength training. I would 100% use it if you're trying to get faster and stronger. I would start to apply it personally, with a percentage-based scale, so you can map it to your percentage-based scales. The chances are you're not using RP scales or R&R scales that much in those kind of performance environments. You're probably trusting the people and gone, yeah, I just want you to go nuts on these. Most people are going to be like, most of mine RPEs are just like 7 to 8 out of 10 on most of the lifts, apart from the ones I really care about. I'm like, for most or nearly all my clients. So yeah. Interesting.
There you go.
Very interesting, but fun. I think you can get nerdy on it sometimes, but I think, yeah, I don't think a lot of people, I think most people would just think like there's only like RPE out there, or only R&R out there, and that's the only thing they can do. When they can apply different things. I couldn't like make everybody not do the 2x4. I think everybody should run a cycle of 5-3-1. I think everybody should learn about that, like for 2-3 months. Just learn about being rigid with your strength training.
The thing I like about 5-3-1, and the reason I think people should do it, is they realize how much stronger and bigger they can get just doing the same fucking lifts over and over again.
Boring things.
Boring.
That works on
do
a
that
lot
for
of
6
stuff.
months. Do that. You know, this whole thing about like refreshing programs and getting bored and deloading. Like, you just I remember when we did that. That was probably like the most that I think you definitely need someone to hold you accountable to it and do it with, for one. But the gamification of that and beating those reps and seeing that and knowing where you're at and knowing that the way it was set up, like I think when there's
again, like I've a cool 5-3-1. Imagine if we had the VBT data off the back of it, we would have 100% have mapped our last sets to VBT. We would have been like, oh, what was the drop off for that at the end of that? That would have been really cool to see
100%.
And really nerdy and really cool data to show a client, right? At the end of like a phase, and be like, look, like you were lifting at that speed and you didn't have that drop off, and they'll understand that. They're like, actually, your average throughout that set was higher than it was then. We know that's better. So yeah, you're able to lift quicker. You're stronger. You're more powerful, which is cool. All right, Daniel. Any other business?
Not for me, no. Gonna go have some dinner.
No.
It's my other
You want
business.
to go have some dinner? Pretty late for you. Yeah, there probably won't be a show next week because I am away, unless Dan wants to do it on a Thursday, but she probably doesn't. I don't really want to do that either. But yeah, we'll see about the week after. See if we can wheel Dan. Maybe you can do a phone episode, mate. You can just phone in from wherever you are in the country.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, we're gonna do a proper. You just told me how much you love Chatterbix and how people are just like
podcast,
random.
Yeah, I could be walking around Bath doing a Chatterbix podcast.
Exactly, it's fine.
There you go.
But if not, maybe we get a little guest show on.
Ooh,
I know.
sexy.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right. It's fine. Just replace me. I'm easily replaceable.
Right, no other business?
Nope.
Waitlist, closing.
Sign up for the combine.
Probably fucking 12 months.
Fucking hell. Go and learn some cool shit. Train hard. Train cool.
Right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
See you later.